machine, which is our own machine, our own Indian machine, which is competing with supercomputing machines of world, and that name was Param 8000. And then once we develop one machine, we find a lot of improvement in this. So 1994 we developed Param 9000, 1998 we developed Param 10,000, then 2002 and 3 we developed Param Padma, then Garuda 2005, 2008 Param Yuva, 2013 Param Yuva 2. Till that 2013 only SIDAC Pune and Government of India were developing machines of this category called supercomputers. Then after government realized that if you want to compete worldwide, we have to involve other researchers and universities to that. And that comes National Supercomputing Mission, that all the IITs, NITs and Institute of Reputes are being involved in development of those machines. And that's how we are also part of now this NSM mission of world of this India and nation, and we also started contributing to that by experimenting small work there. Okay, so that's how this comes into picture, and that's name 2015. There's a name called Param Savak. That what machine we have with us in the universities. We'll see the demonstrations. So the video for that also. So Param Savak is a machine what we have with us. Is not a real supercomputers. It's a very compact machine, similar to a desktop, but it's a powerful machine. We see the video first, and then we'll look at the configurations and possible applications we can run on the Param Savak. So let us go and look at the video of Param Savak machine. So just let me show and
widespread market research and end user experience inspired the idea to develop a compact yet powerful HPC system. Extensive evaluation was undergone to find a balance between noise and heat dissipation while operating in an office environment. Param Savak is SIDAC's affordable and energy-efficient tabletop supercomputing solution. Equipped with off-the-shelf hardware components, open-source HPC applications and tools from several research domains, along with SIDAC's indigenously developed tools like ONAMA and CREM. This system is designed to be an enabling tool for research organizations as well as academic institutions that are on the verge of adopting an HPC culture and skill sets generation. Delivering up to 3.2 teraflops of computational power, it is a ready-for-use supercomputer with no additional data center infrastructure requirements. It is a hybrid solution equipped with 2 Xeon processors having a minimum of 10 cores each and 2 Intel Xeon Phi or NVIDIA GPGPU accelerator cards. The solution comes with 8 terabytes of storage, enabling the aspiring scientific community to work on applications with huge data set requirements.
so that's what we have with us. Right, this is a machine. Exactly what we have is a real picture of our machine. That's how it looks. Small and compact yet powerful machines, right? So in 2 Xeon processors with 18 cores each. So we have logical 72 cores because we have 2 machines. So 18 to 2, 36, and each is in 2 logical cores. So 72 logical cores are available for processing. So you can divide your task into 72 logical cores. So one task can be handled with 72 threads in your programming. Right, with each thread in capacity of 2.2 gigahertz clock speed. You have almost 100 GB of RAM on these machines. You have 16 TB of hard disk. Along with that, you have one NVIDIA GP100 GPU card having 16 GB of memory and more than 4,000 CUDA code capabilities. It comes with a simple keyboard and mouse. We're simply running few projects in this, and this is currently located in our Vincel department at A5 building ground floor. So you can, when you have a chance to do that, yes, you can go and look at this. It's a very similar picture you have shown from that. You can see a similar picture there also. And few projects are running. If you want to contribute there, if you want to have some requirement of having resource in your own projects you're working on, yes, you're welcome to just send an email to me. We'll be happy to provide you the resource on supercomputing machines, provided that you have that applications of that level which requires these high-end servers. Okay, so that's what we have in our campus. I'm just demonstrating that, right? These are some applications that is meant for. It's generally being invented for weather forecasting, and surprisingly, till 2020, our fastest supercomputers is basically used for weather forecasting. The weather forecasting remains one of the prominent area in supercomputing applications. But then people start adding many things. Aerodynamics is also there. Probabilistic theory is also being added. Radiations is modeling is also there. Then brute force code breaking in security. People start using those machines, powerful machines, for brute force attacks, right? Then it's being used for nuclear test simulations as well. Then it's been used for molecular dynamics as well. And then it can now use for scientific research, right? So even COVID-19, corona simulations, supercomputing machines are widely used in last 2 years. They are very helpful in biological research as well to simulate those molecules and their natures and patterns in that. So many applications can be done, and this can be also used for deep learning applications, would be called an AIDL enabled supercomputers. So where all deep learning and machine learning applications which requires a lot of resources can also be solved using this kind of infrastructure. Now, for a student of computer science, how it can utilize these capabilities. So to understand, before you go to demonstration, I'll just give you a very brief fundamental of HPC, and we'll see how this HPC can be really implemented on the supercomputing machine. So this fundamental is being followed by a demonstration. So we demonstrated how it can be effectively utilizing the multi-core architectures, because utilizing multi-core architectures require different programming skills than traditional skills. You write a program in such a way that your program is able to access those multiple cores, will distribute the task on multiple cores, and successfully able to run your task on multi-core machines. And that's what we mean by high performance computing, right? So we will using two libraries, MPI and OpenMP, right? So these two can be used to run your programs in parallel communication, parallel environment, right? So OpenMP is parallel programming library, which is better suited for truly parallel calculations, algorithms that needs a shared memory, right? So let us see how it can be useful. So we have an MPI, and this MPI can be used for an high-end heavy processes. So multiple processes MPI can be handled, but within a process, you have logical threads. You're dividing your task in one process into multiple logical tasks. Those multiple logical tasks can be effectively handled by OpenMP libraries. Right, so OpenMP will do parallelism within a node and handle intra-node communication. So MPI, what we have generally in supercomputers are supercomputing are being scattered across multiple nodes, and each node is a powerful node capable of doing a lot of computations. Those dividing tasks into multi-node machines will be taken care by MPI programming. Once you divide your machine into multiple tasks, that individual node, and in that individual node, like what we have with us is an individual node. We only have one node called Param Savak 1. In that we have 672 logical cores. Now, if I want to program in this 72 logical core, I'll be using OpenMP program. How do I divide my task into those 72 logical cores within the same machine? If you want to talk, one machine is in Charusat, other is in DICT, other is in IIT Gandhinagar. If you want these three want to communicate, then better choice would be MPI programming model, right? So that will be a broad difference. MPI can also be used to solve problems on single machines. So there is no issue that, but more popular for single machine is OpenMP. So we're now dealing more on the OpenMP programming paradigm. Very simple model. OpenMP will distribute tasks automatically. So we have a master node task A. The moment we reach the task at machine, the machine will start dividing task into parallel threads. In this task is known as fork. One thread will fork multiple threads, and those multiple threads are being run on multiple processors, and then we'll combine it and we'll call it join. Again, we'll do it, and if required, we'll repeatedly do this divisions of task into multiple logical threads, and those threads can be run independently on machines, and that's how we are achieving efficiency in our work. Right? So we'll always improve the efficiency of the code. You can run faster codes or can do a larger task in small amount of time. That would be the objective of this OpenMP fork and join model. Right? So how it works? Very simple. If you want to just run an OpenMP Hello World program on supercomputers, we'll see demonstrated also. You simply include the libraries required for that. So for OpenMP API, we'll be requiring to input OMP library, omp.h. Very first one you can see here to be this, right? And then we include studio libraries, studio.h. We'll have main function, and we'll write OpenMP running with threads. And this is something called OMP get max threads. Will tell me how many logical threads, logical processors I have on which I can run my machine. So I'm just printing that OpenMP running on thread 1, thread 2, thread 3. So when I run this program, exact same program on my supercomputer machine, it will answer 72 such print statements, because I have 72 computing capability nodes available, threads available with me. We'll just distribute that to every thread. Right? So if you want to run on this, you simply print it, these threads, and if you want to utilize this thread, you have to just write in directives called pragma. Will indicate your compilers that whatever code you are writing after this directives will be running on parallel machines. So if you don't include this, you can see your code running on single processors. The moment you include this pragma OMP parallel, you can understand that whatever code I have to execute on using all possible threads or logical cores. So I let hello world from thread number. So it will print thread number 1 to thread number 72. May not be in order, but it will use all those 72 available threads what I have. So when I will run in this in demonstration, you can see this. I can able to print those 72 threads easily. And I can understand that, okay, these many threads are logically available with me on which I can run this code. It's a very simple program we can run on supercomputers with an OpenMP interface or library commands. If you want to run it on this, so if you want to compile this program, so this is a program I'll store in .c file. Once I store this program as .c file, I simply write GCC command with f OpenMP would be the directive to tell that yes, this is what something I'm compiling with an OpenMP, so it has to run on multiple threads. So this of OpenMP is must to compile with GCC. If you don't write it, it will not utilize this multi-threading capability of your machine. So f OpenMP would be the must command for that. And write source code.c file, which file I have to as an input is in my original file. -o stands for output file, so I'll give my output file name. And once I compile this, it successfully compile this, there is no errors. Then after I have to see the output of this, I'll write time /output file, so I can able to see what time will take to run this. This time will be a real wall clock time we'll be getting, right? So this is something we are printing as this. So again, we'll run this in demonstration. You can able to understand that yes, we can easily get the time of our code, and we can also find the difference, something running on serially, something running in parallel machines. What could be the difference? You can easily see it. Okay. So before we go to demonstration, just I want to let you know, because what demonstration we are taking is a matrix multiplication. And we all know matrix multiplication is very simple task, right? You can see this, there are two matrices given, A and B. And how do I multiply this? It's very simple. So everybody, almost everyone knows about this computation. What's the big deal that? But this matrix multiplication has inherent capability of parallelism. How? If I want to run it matrix multiplication on parallel things, I can simply say that the first element of first matrix and the first element of second matrix can be computed independently. So, is in 3 cross 3 matrix multiplication, these 9 blocks can be computed independently, isn't it? We do not need to have dependencies amongst us. Very important thing when you are converting your task into parallel implementations and then you're running on supercomputer machines, you have to keep in mind that your task must be converted into those parallel independent computing block. And matrix multiplication is one such application where I can convert my matrix multiplication task into parallel independent block. So for computing C00 is an outcome of my matrix multiplication. I have to multiply A00 and B00. For computing C01, I have to multiply A01 and B01. But both computations can be done independently. Yes, if I can do them independently, I can simply utilize the power of OpenMP and parallel architectures, and I can easily get the improvement in my running time efficiency, because it is not a question about multiplying two matrices of size 3 cross 3. If you remember that the normal matrix multiplication, if you run this, the complexity of this normal matrix multiplication sequential execution is order of n cube. What is n here? Size of matrices. So let us say you are multiplying two matrices of size 10,000. The square matrices. So 10,000 cross 10,000, two matrices are there, right? And if you want to reach and performance improvement there, if you run on simple sequential solutions like this, is 10,000 raised to 3 n cube, n is 10,000, is a simple time limit we have. The traditional machine will fail to give you answers in reasonable time. So you need to utilize supercomputing power for doing so. Once you do so, you can able to understand the power of those machines. We practically will demonstrate that what happens when we run it, right, on supercomputer machine. But if you look at this graph, yes, this is what it shows running time and sequential execution. So the x-axis would be the size of your matrix and y would be the running time in second. So to multiply 200 cross 100 matrices is a very small time. 200 little time more, 300 more time. But if you reach to 1000 cross 1000, reach to exponential growth. This kind of curve is an exponential curve, which is not recommended in any computing architecture. And simply I go with parallel implementations with almost 100 cores. You can see this very small change in running time. It's a huge change in running time. For 1000 cross 1000, this parallel version is much more efficient than its serial version. And we want to achieve this performance difference practically on the machines, right? But the question remains same, why we are taken as a matrix multiplication application? Is there a significance of matrices in domains, different domains? And the next video I'm going to play will open all eyes that why matrix multiplication is very important for solving mathematical computations problem. In almost all the domain, if you talk of computer science, weather forecasting, medical domain, gaming, parallel projections, civil constructions and visualizations, matrices are playing very crucial roles, because majority of data which can be utilized for those applications are stored in the forms of matrices, and by applying matrices operations on that, we can effectively visualize them as per our need. So matrices are forming a base and the operations are forming a base for all those applications. So this coming video will tell us that what is the significance of matrix multiplication in different applications and domain. And immediately after that, we look at the demonstration for that. Okay, so let me play the video for matrix multiplication and their applications in real world.
फुटबॉल की गेम बनानी है और मेरे पास 3 प्लेयर हैं, मेरे पास रोनाल्डो है, मेसी है और कलीम खान है, कलीमुल्लाह खान, जो कि पाकिस्तान के एक मशहूर प्लेयर है। जैसे गेम शुरू हुई रोनाल्डो ने मेसी को पास दिया, मेसी ने कलीम को पास दिया, कलीम ने वापस मेसी को पास दिया और फिर मेसी ने कलीम को पास दिया, कलीम ने रोनाल्डो को बॉल दी और रोनाल्डो ने दोबारा कलीम को पास दिया। लेकिन कंप्यूटर को ये सारे पासेस का कैसे पता चलेगा? इसके लिए हमने एक मैट्रिक्स बना दिया, यहां पर रोनाल्डो, मेसी और कलीम है और यहां पर भी हमारे पास रोनाल्डो, मेसी और कलीम है। क्योंकि रोनाल्डो को पास नहीं दे सकता, इसलिए यहां पर हमने 0 लिख दिया, क्योंकि रोनाल्डो को पास नहीं दे सकता, मेसी को पास नहीं दे सकता, यहां पर 0 आ गया। डायगोनल आप देख सकते हैं सारा का सारा 0 पर मुश्तमिल है। कलीम को पास नहीं दे सकते, इसलिए 0 आ गया। रोनाल्डो ने मेसी को कितने पास दिए? 1। रोनाल्डो ने कलीम को कितने पास दिए? 1। आप यहां से देख सकते हैं। मेसी ने रोनाल्डो को कितने पास दिए? कोई भी नहीं। मेसी ने कलीम को कितने पास दिए? 2। कलीम ने रोनाल्डो को कितने पास दिए? 1। कलीम ने मेसी को कितने पास दिए? 1। कलीम ने अपने आप को कोई पास नहीं दिया। इस तरीके से मैट्रिक्स के जरिए आप पूरे पासिंग के बारे में इंफॉर्मेशन स्टोर कर सकते हैं। हम जितनी भी वीडियो गेम्स देखते हैं वो अमूमन हमें 3D में लगती है, लेकिन वो 3D में होती नहीं है। वीडियो गेम्स को 3D में बनाया जाता है, उनके लिए मुख्तलिफ ऑपरेशंस किए जा सकते हैं। अगर इस शीट को आप समझ गए तो आप मैट्रिसेस को अच्छे तरीके से समझ जाएंगे। वीडियो गेम में स्पेशली 3 किस्म के काम मैट्रिसेस से लिए जाते हैं। मसलन आपके पास एक शेप है एक स्क्वायर की, तो मैट्रिक्स से आप इसको रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे हैं और वो है एक्स एंड वाई। इस शेप को आप मूव कर सकते हैं एक जगह से दूसरी जगह मैट्रिसेस के जरिए। अगर आप इसमें dx dy यानी एडिशन के जरिए आप एक इमेज को एक जगह से दूसरी जगह मूव कर सकते हैं। इसी तरीके से दूसरा फंक्शन आप स्केलिंग का कर सकते हैं। आप उस इमेज को मल्टीप्लाई करके एक और मैट्रिक्स के साथ उसको बड़ा कर सकते हैं, स्केल कर सकते हैं। आप किसी इमेज को रोटेट भी कर सकते हैं। यहां पर एक मैट्रिक्स मैंने आपको दिखाया कोसाइन और साइन में, जो कि एक्स और वाई से मल्टीप्लाई हो रहा है और उसको रोटेट कर रहा है। तो हम बेसिकली 3 किस्म के मेजर काम करते हैं वीडियो गेम्स में। मैट्रिसेस का इस्तेमाल करते हुए हम ट्रांसलेशन देख रहे होते हैं, उसको एक जगह से दूसरी का मूव करवाते हैं, स्केलिंग और रोटेशन देख रहे होते हैं। मैं आपको यहां पर एक इमेज दिखाता हूं एफ का, तो आप इसका मैट्रिक्स देख सकते हैं और इसके जरिए आप देख सकते हैं कि हम इसको ऊपर ले सकते हैं, हम इसको बड़ा कर सकते हैं, हम इसको एंगल पे रोटेट कर सकते हैं, तो हम इसको रिफ्लेक्ट कर सकते हैं, हम रोटेट कर सकते हैं। आप मुख्तलिफ किस्म के ऑपरेशन मैट्रिसेस के जरिए इस पर लगा सकते हैं। जो बेसिक 3 मैट्रिसेस के जरिए ऑपरेशन हम करते हैं, इस ट्रायंगल को अगर मैट्रिक्स के साथ मैं रिप्रेजेंट करूं तो इसको एक जगह से दूसरी जगह ले जा सकता हूं, ट्रांसलेशन प्रॉपर्टी का इस्तेमाल कर सकता हूं, इसको बड़ा कर सकता हूं, स्केल कर सकता हूं, इसको रोटेट करवा सकता हूं, इसको रिफ्लेक्शन दे सकता हूं। अमूमन हम जितनी भी वीडियो गेम्स बनाते हैं उसको 3D फॉर्म में बनाया जाता है। यहां पर मैं आपको एक मैट्रिक्स दिखा रहा हूं एक्स वाई जी, तो ये हमारे पास 3D फॉर्मेट में बनती है, लेकिन जब हम उसको देखते हैं स्क्रीन पर तो उसे 2D में बनाना पड़ता है, क्योंकि हमारी स्क्रीन 2D है। तो हम जब वीडियो गेम बनाते हैं वो 3D में होती है, लेकिन उसको 2D में कन्वर्ट करना पड़ता है, जिसे पैरेलल प्रोजेक्शन कहते हैं। और इसके लिए हम सिंपल एक काम करते हैं कि उसके डेटा में जाकर Z एक्सिस को 0 कर देते हैं। जब हम Z एक्सिस को 0 कर देते हैं तो वो हमारे पास ऑटोमेटिकली 2D में बन जाते हैं, गोया कि हमें लगता ही है कि शायद वो 3D में ही है। मैट्रिसेस आपको इक्वेशंस की सॉल्व करने में मदद देते हैं। मेरे पास एक इक्वेशन है और मैं कंप्यूटर को ये इक्वेशन देना चाहता हूं इसको सॉल्व करने के लिए। मुझे इस इक्वेशन को रीअरेंज करना होगा और उसको रीअरेंज मैं ऐसे करूंगा कि उसके कोफिशिएंट साथ साथ लिखूंगा। तो जहां पर 0x है तो वहां पर मैं 0 जरूर लिखूंगा, x मौजूद नहीं है। अब आप देखें कि इस तरीके से अरेंज करने के बाद यहां पर x है हर जगह, यहां पर y है, यहां पर z है। तो मैं क्या करता हूं, मैं कोफिशिएंट्स को अलग कर लेता हूं। ये मेरे पास कोफिशिएंट्स हैं 1 + 1 0, ये तमाम कोफिशिएंट्स हैं और वेरिएबल्स को मैंने अलग कर लिया। इसी को मैं मैट्रिक्स फॉर्म में भी लिख सकता हूं। आप देख सकते हैं कि यहां पर वेरिएबल्स हैं और यहां पर कोफिशिएंट है। इस चीज को कंप्यूटर बहुत आसानी से समझ सकता है और इस पर प्रोसेस कर सकता है। अमूमन हमारे पास इक्वेशंस इतनी सिंपल नहीं होती, उसमें बहुत से हंड्रेड्स ऑफ वेरिएबल्स होते हैं जिनको सॉल्व करना होता है और उसके लिए हमें सुपर कंप्यूटर्स की जरूरत होती है। सुपर कंप्यूटर में स्पेशल प्रोग्राम्स लिखे जाते हैं जिनके जरिए उन मैट्रिसेस को सॉल्व किया जाता है और उनसे सॉल्यूशंस निकाले जाते हैं। तो अगर आपने बड़ी बड़ी क्वेश्चंस को सॉल्व करना है तो आपको मैट्रिसेस की मदद हासिल करनी पड़ेगी। लेकिन अगर मैं आपको बताऊं कि मैट्रिसेस को विजुलाइज भी किया जा सकता है, इनसे ड्राइंग भी की जा सकती है, तो आपको हैरानी होगी। मैं आपको यहां पर एक मैट्रिक्स दिखा रहा हूं और इस मैट्रिक्स को मैं आपको यहां पर प्लॉट करके भी दिखा रहा हूं। 2 और 4 में अगर एक से ज्यादा पाथ हैं तब भी हम एक ही पाथ शो करेंगे आसानी के लिए। तो अगर आप यहां से देखें 1 और 1 के बीच में, ठीक है, आपके पास एक पाथ है क्योंकि वो तो हर नंबर का अपने साथ होता ही है। 1 और 2 के बीच में कोई पाथ नहीं है, 1 और 3 के बीच में एक पाथ है। ये देखें, ये 1 और 3 के बीच में एक पाथ है। इसी तरीके से आप इसको प्लॉट करेंगे, जहां पर मल्टीपल पाथ आएंगे वहां पर भी एक ही लाइन लगानी है। तो हमारे पास इस मैट्रिक्स की एक विजुअल डिपिक्शन आ जाएगी, एक तस्वीर आ जाएगी, और इसको अगर हम रिप्लेस कर दें इसकी लाइंस को स्प्रिंग्स के जरिए, तो हम जब मैट्रिसेस की इस ड्राइंग को अनफोल्ड करेंगे तो आप देखिए एक मैट्रिक्स की ड्राइंग बनाई हुई है, और आप अज्यूम करें कि इसकी तमाम ब्रांचेस जो हैं वो स्प्रिंग्स हैं, तो ये अपने आप को मिनिमम एनर्जी स्टेट में लेके जाएगी, ये अपने आप को खोलना शुरू कर देगी, और थोड़ी देर बाद जब आप देखेंगे तो आपके पास ये डिजाइन एक मैट्रिक्स का है। तो आप एक मैट्रिक्स को विजुअली देख सकते हैं। इसी तरीके से मैं आपको बहुत से और मैट्रिसेस दिखा सकता हूं। मसलन इस तस्वीर को देखिए, इसमें ये बताया जा रहा है कि इंसान किस किस्म की वेबसाइट्स को विजिट करते हैं। ये पूरा डेटा उस मैट्रिक्स का है जिसको हमने प्लॉट किया है। यहां पर जो मैट्रिक्स मैं आपको तस्वीर की शक्ल में दिखा रहा हूं, इसमें हमने लंग्स को, अपने फेफड़ों को मॉडल किया है, तो ये उसके मॉडल का एक विजुअल एस्पेक्ट है। इसी तरीके से अगर आप अमेरिका के फाइनेंशियल पोर्टफोलियो को देखें तो आपको इस किस्म की शक्ल नजर आएगी। लगेगा तो आपको ये फूल, लेकिन इसके पीछे मैट्रिसेस हैं जिनमें बहुत ज्यादा डाटा है और उसको हमने प्लॉट किया है। शैलो वाटर मॉडल्स भी मैंने आपको यहां पर दिखा दिए हैं, इनमें भी आपको मैट्रिसेस का डेटा नजर आ रहा है। एमआरआई मॉडल्स भी आपको दिखाए गए हैं। इसी तरीके से अगर एनालॉग सर्किट के मॉडल्स बनाए आप मैट्रिसेस में और उसको प्लॉट कर दें उस तरीके से जो मैंने बताया, तो आपको इस किस्म की शक्ल नजर आएगी। टाइडल फ्लो, अगर आप लहरों के फ्लो के मैट्रिसेस के जरिए मॉडल्स बनाएं और उनको डिस्प्ले करवाएं तो आपको इस किस्म की शक्ल नजर आएगी। तो आपको विजुअली भी मैट्रिसेस नजर आ रहे होते हैं जिनको साइंसदान देख रहे होते हैं और उन पर काम कर रहे होते हैं। हर सर्च इंजन के पीछे मैट्रिसेस काम कर रहे होते हैं। मसलन हम गूगल की बात करते हैं, अगर आपने स्टैनफोर्ड का लफ्ज इस्तेमाल किया सर्च के लिए तो गूगल हर वेबसाइट पर जाएगा और देखेगा कि क्या वहां पर स्टैनफोर्ड का वर्ड है। अगर ESPN की साइट पर स्टैनफोर्ड का वर्ड है तो वो 1 कर देगा, अगर TEDx पर भी है तो वो 1 कर देगा, लेकिन किसी वेबसाइट पर अगर नहीं है तो उनको 000 कर देगा। अगर आपने बीटिंग का वर्ड यूज किया तो उसके लिए भी मैट्रिक्स बनाएगा। अपनी हर सर्च के लिए गूगल मैट्रिसेस बनाता है और जहां पर उसको 1 नजर आता है वो अपने रिजल्ट्स में दिखा देता है, और जहां पर 0 होता है वो अपने रिजल्ट्स में नहीं दिखा रहा होता। तो सर्च इंजन के पीछे मैट्रिसेस काम कर रहे होते हैं। इसी तरीके से कम्युनिकेशन सिस्टम में बहुत ज्यादा मैट्रिसेस काम करते हैं। मैंने खुद पर्सनली इस पर बहुत काम किया है। जब भी आप एरेज को, एंटेना एरेज को मॉडल करते हैं तो मैट्रिसेस आते हैं। जब भी आप इनके चैनल्स की मॉडलिंग करते हैं, उसके ट्रांसफर फंक्शंस की, या सिंपल वर्ड में उनके चैनल का बिहेवियर कैसा होगा उसको मॉडल करते हैं, तो आपको मैट्रिसेस की बहुत ज्यादा जरूरत पड़ती है। तो कम्युनिकेशन और मोबाइल फोन्स में मैट्रिसेस की बहुत ज्यादा जरूरत होती है मॉडलिंग के लिए। इसी तरीके से वेदर फोरकास्टिंग के लिए भी हम मैट्रिसेस का इस्तेमाल करते हैं। सुपर कंप्यूटर्स में डाटा मैट्रिसेस की शक्ल में जा रहा होता है जो कि आगे प्रेडिक्शन कर रहा होता है कि कल का मौसम कैसा होगा। आखिरी मिसाल मैं आपको आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस से दूंगा, जिस पर मैं पूरी वीडियो बना चुका हूं, न्यूरल नेटवर्क्स। और न्यूरल नेटवर्क्स कैसे काम करते हैं आप उस वीडियो से जान सकते हैं, लेकिन न्यूरल नेटवर्क्स की मुख्तलिफ स्टेजेस के बीच में जो वेट्स होते हैं, जो ब्रांचेस होती हैं, इनके वेट्स को हम मैट्रिसेस की फॉर्म में लिखते हैं। क्योंकि हमारे पास बहुत सी हिडन लेयर्स होती हैं, इसलिए ये मैट्रिसेस बहुत बड़े होते हैं, और इन मैट्रिसेस पर मुख्तलिफ किस्म के ऑपरेशंस करके हम इक्वेशंस के सॉल्यूशंस निकालते हैं, उनकी प्रॉपर्टीज देखते हैं, और कंप्यूटर उस चीज को बड़ी आसानी से एवेल्युएट कर लेता है। तो मैट्रिसेस ने हमारी जिंदगी को बहुत आसान बनाया, क्योंकि मैट्रिसेस ही वो फॉर्मेट है जिसमें कंप्यूटर हमारी बातें समझ सकता है। तो मुझे उम्मीद है कि आपको
Okay, so I hope you understood the importance of this matrix multiplication. Let us now, without wasting much time, demonstrate the same thing. How can we use 1000 cross 1000 matrix can be given as an input, and how effectively we can run this on our Param South supercomputing machines. I now request Amit Parmar sir to just take over the charge of this session and just demonstrate how can we access this machine, what are the ways of accessing the machines, how students can use it, and then what can we do with these programs, and how can we run those programs using OpenMP APIs. So over to Amit sir.
Yes, thank you sir. Thank you for providing the background and clear with the background of supercomputer and all. Dear students, will see in this particular demonstration that how we gonna access the supercomputer facility which are available with us in our university. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen here, and we'll see how you gonna access the facility. Is my screen visible, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. See, first of all, you require this MOBA Xterm tool, right? So this tool, there is a free edition also, and there is a professional. We can use the home edition, free edition. Okay, so you can download this tool and you can install this tool in your system. Okay, and this tool actually is, for to use the facility of supercomputer through remote desktop, right? We all know what is remote desktop and how remote desktop, utilize the way of the any computer, any machine. Okay, so over here through remote, you can use this facility using this tool. Okay, so if you download this tool, I have already downloaded here, so I can show you, right? So over here you can see the mobile Xterm tool, right? If you open this tool, you will see this, and there is application. Okay, if you extract this and if you open this, this is an application of mobile Xterm. So if you go into this, you will able to see there are many tabs. There are many icons, right? So there is session, server, tools, right? From this, what we need to do, we need to see the session, right? If you see the sessions, there are different kinds of services, different kinds of protocol through you can access any remote machine. Okay, so there is SHS, there is Telnet, RHS, RDP, right? VNC. So there are many things. Okay, so out of this, you can use the RDP connections to connect your supercomputer machine. Okay, so I have already connected here. Let me connect it. Okay, so I already connected here. This is the IP that you need to provide here. Okay, 172.16.3.75. Okay, let me connect it once again. So if you go to session and if you click on RDP, over here you need to provide the IP. Okay, and username, Amit Thakkar says username, I'm using it. Okay, and over here you need to provide the password. Once you provide the password, it will take here, and you need to change it here from XORG to XVNC, and again you need to provide the password. Okay, after you have provided the password, now you can see you have entered into the system. Now you need to provide the password, the same password, to enter into the system, right? So right now you are at the system. Okay, you are at the system, you can see that. Fine. So these are the applications which are already there. Sir is already talked about it. Okay, so in Paramsahok you can see there are many inbuilt applications, HPC applications, ONAMA, and everything. This sir is already talked about it, right? So right now what we're gonna see, we are gonna see the demo of how supercomputer is, feasible as for a long task, right? If your task is huge, and how the supercomputer is helping you to solve that task in a very, minimal time. Okay, so first we'll see this Hello World program. Sir is already told you about this program. Okay, this is how we write the code. We need to first include the header file called omp.h. Okay, and then you can write the Hello World program. So this is what the Hello World program. Okay, so if I comment this particular line, sir, I think already talked about it. If I comment this line, then this particular program will run only once. Means it will run only in one thread. We are having 72 cores in our machine, as gave you about our machine's hardware specifications. Okay, so over here we are having 72 cores, but out of that, if you want to use only one, so this will run in serial manner. Okay, so if I run this code, and I need to go to the command prompt, or you can say the terminal. Okay, and I need to write the hello world programs. How you can compile first? So GCC. Okay, then what we need to write? We need to I want to run it. GCC -o. Okay, program name. So this is my program name. Okay, means object name that you want to take. Program name will become last. Then f openmp. Okay, and then again the C file. This is what our C file is, right? So that's how you can compile the program. Now you want to run this program. Time /openmp hello. Right? So if you run this, right, it will running in parallel manner. As you can see that this is running in parallel manner because I have not saved that file here. This save is I have not done. Okay, so this is running in parallel manner, and you can see that there are 72 codes starting from 0 to 71. It is in random, right? So 72 times you can see the hello world, hello world, hello world is written. Okay, and there are time. You can see there are 3 times it has been given here: real, user, and system. So, sir, I think already explained you what is the difference between all these 3 times. Okay, so real time is the actual time. You can see the execution time of this job. This is system time. This is user's job time. Okay, so you can see that how you can interpret this time is it is 0 minute, m means minute, and 0.064 seconds. Okay, so that's how it is. Now, if I want to use only one core, then I need to save this code first, and Pragma, it is in the comment. So now parallelization will not work. It will only use one core to display the output. So first I need to compile it because I have changed the code, right? And then I'm going to run it. So you can see that only one core is, accessing the program. You have not used the 72 cores to access this program. Only one core is run that program, and you can see only one time hello world is printed here. Okay, and you can also see the time. It was using the earlier one, using the 72 cores, so time was bit higher. So over here you can see the very less time, minimal time, because we have used only one core. Okay, so this is the simple hello world program. The actual thing that we have to understand is these 2 things. This is the matrix multiplication program, which is written in serial manner. Means this program is not have used the parallelization. Parallelization we have not used over here in this program. It is a serial program. Okay, and the second program you can see matrix multiplication parallel. So over here we have used the Pragma and parallelization. Okay, so this parallelization we have done here. Pragma we have used here. Okay, so we need to check it that which program takes less time and which program takes more time. Okay, so if you are having more resources, more hardware, so it should take less time. So let us see from the from the demo perspective. So I'm taking it not 1000 n is equal to not 1000, right? It is a 1000 by 1000 matrix, by the way. So I'm not going to take from 1000. I'm take it from 100. 100 from serial and 100 for parallel. Okay. So first I'm going to run the serial program. GCC matrix serial program I'm going to running here. Okay. So compilation first, then time / matrix serial. Okay. You can see the time. this is what the number of multiplication that we have performed, total number of multiplications. Okay, how 100 by 100 का इतना आता है total number of multiplication. Then time that we have took 0 minute and 0.019 second. Okay, if I run the same program in parallel manner, okay, so let us run the same program in parallel manner. So I'm compiling the parallel program first, and then I'm gonna run this code parallel. You might get surprised that sir serially में तो ये कम आया था, parallel में ज़्यादा टाइम आ गया, तो उल्टा हुआ, right? So it is not like that actually, right? If you increase the number of multiplication, if you increase the size of the matrix, then you will see the magic here, right? So if I increase the size of the matrix, let's say it is not 100 by 100, but it is 1000 by 1000, let's say. So I'm gonna serial maybe मैं 1000 by 1000 कर रहा हूँ. Serial is also 1000 by 1000, and parallel is also 1000 by 1000. So let us now run it. First run the serial. You can see the time. It is still going on. Yes. Now please note down the time. 0 minute 3.688 seconds. Okay, we have run it in serial manner. We have not used the parallel manner. Now let us see the parallel execution. So parallel compilation, and then we'll do the parallel execution. See this. In parallel execution, how much time you can see this? Still it is taking little bit more time, because in the real you can see that there is 3.688 second, and in parallel you can see that 4.33 second, right? So it is still taking more time. Now still let us increase the size of the matrix, because in the parallel manner, right, you need to have bigger matrices size. Okay, so I'm increasing the serial from 1100. Over here I'm also increasing to 1100. Okay, let me run the code here for serial. Compile and run for serial. See this, how much time serial is taking? 0 minute and 4.602 second. Okay, now parallel is also 11. Okay, let me run the parallel one. Still it is, hello?
Yes, Amit.
Still it is getting, right?
Yes. So can you just try with writing F OpenMP?
Yes, sir. F OpenMP is there.
Okay.
Okay. I hope I'm, doing right. I hope I'm getting you guys. Okay. So this is how you can run the code in this, but still we are increasing the size of the matrices, and let us see what is, how and when you will get the chance to see the improvement. Okay. This is my serial one. 0.726 seconds. Okay, let me run the parallel now. 0.832 seconds. Okay, still it is increasing. Two point 692 seconds. Okay, now let me go to the parallel. 3.101, right? From this, what we can see that this is taking more time when you increase the number of matrix increase the size of the matrices. Okay, but if you see the system time, if you see the system time, right? If you see the system time, it is getting decreased by some time. Yes or no? It is 0.01 second, 10 second, and here 0.007 seconds, 0.007 seconds. Okay, so if you increase the size of the matrices, you will see the difference in the running time. Okay, so let us run it once again. First of all, let me close this down. Okay, there are three, and Pragma 40,000 parallel will also work with this. Go terminal. Okay, and we have to go to OpenMP ls. Where are my programs? Let me run the first program, gcc-o. What is the which one program I should run? Serial wala, right? So matrix time slash right, this much time it is taking. Now let us run that. F OpenMP.
F open first, right? F OpenMP.
Yes, hyphen करके, right? F OpenMP, then -o, right, sir? Am I going correct?
File name, then file name.
.c.
Yes, .c.
And
-o.
and then object name, right?
Yes, object file.
Okay. So then time slash matrix parallel. Okay, and if you run this, see this, it's still taking more time.
Just open the code. There is a Pragma in parallel.
Yes, it is Pragma in parallel. see this system time, right? You can see the reduction in system time, right? In serial it is taking more time, but in parallel it is taking less time. Okay, so that's how you can come up with the parallel programs. And if you run your program in parallel manner, it will take less time as compared to the serial one. Okay, so that's it from this matrix multiplication, serial and parallel. Okay, you can run your code also. If you have developed your code in the parallel manner, then you can run this code in the machine. Okay, and at the end, if you want the access to this machine, as sir said, you need to drop a mail to sir, and sir will then grant to the user. Okay, and you can run the you can access the machine and you can run your code. Okay, so sir, I think I stop here from my end. Yes, Rushabh.
यस सर. सर आपने सीरियल लाइन में -FOMP नहीं लिखा था.
हाँ, वो लिखने की जरूरत नहीं होती है. सीरियल कोड तो डायरेक्टली रन हो ही जाता है ना. हम लिनक्स में लिखते हैं. लिनक्स में कैसे सी का कोड कंपाइल करते हैं, same way you can compile the serial code, because there is no any file, any parallel file to write the open entry. Okay.
Okay sir.
Yes. So I think sir, we can end here the session.
Yes, I think there is no doubt, and we may end up the session.
Yes, and Durgesh sir, please circulate the feedback and how they should fill the feedback. Please inform them about it.
Yes, all right. I will just paste that link in the chat box. So I request to each student, just don't forget to fill out the feedback form. And once you fill it out completely, you will get the certificate. So make sure you write the correct name. So whichever you want on your certificate. All right. And thanks to Amit Thakkar sir and Amit Verma sir for giving us a really important lecture. So which is like very useful. And I would like to thank everyone for joining.
Thank you sir.
Feedback link is there already, so I suggest everyone to fill the feedback.
Yeah, I just sent the feedback link in the chat.
हेलो सर.
यस
सर, एक और क्वेश्चन था कि पैरेलल का टाइम ज़्यादा आता है ना सिस्टम में कंपेयर टू.
Yes, Rushabh.
Yes sir. So we see that in the comparison we get more time compared to serial.
वो पैरेलल में टाइम कब ज़्यादा आता है, जब आपके पास थोड़ा साइज ऑफ द मैट्रिक्स इज लेस, राइट, एंड यू आर डिवाइडिंग योर जॉब. सो वो कंटेक्स्ट स्विचिंग बढ़ जाता है. इफ यू हैव लर्न द ओएस, राइट, अगर आपके पास छोटी जॉब है और आपने सारे प्रोसेसर में बांट दिया, तो कलेक्शन के टाइम पे वो टाइम इंक्रीज कर देगा, राइट. तो स्विचिंग टाइम विल बी मोर. तो पैरेलल प्रोसेसिंग कब यूजफुल होता है? जब आपके पास बड़ी साइज वाली मैट्रिक्स हो, व्हेन यू हैव मोर डेटा टू प्रोसेस. Okay, so if you are having less data and you are distributing your task among the different cores, then your headache will be more, right? So initially if you have seen that कि अगर हम 100 की साइज का मैट्रिक्स डाल रहे हैं तो पैरेलल में ज्यादा टाइम ले रहा है, पर अगर हम 1000 से ज्यादा साइज वाली मैट्रिक्स डाल रहे हैं तो इट विल slowly decreasing the time in parallel.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it is depends always that how much size matrix you are taking it. Okay, Rishabh?
So we have to check system time, no?
System time, yes. Real time also you can check, but generally it is take the system time. But later on we'll do the more practical where you can see the real time also get changes. Okay, so for that we need to do the bigger jobs. We need to give the bigger jobs to the system to reflect that time in the display.
Okay, sir.